When reading the Disposition Self-Assessment Survey, I believe that I strongly agree with all of these dispositions, and I feel that I do have a lot of these characteristics. I believe that educators should promote and support curiosity, encourage active inquiries. You should have a healthy conversation in class. I believe that all students can learn and shouldn't set support realistic expectations for your student success. As teachers, we're here to take the students and turn them into another level. I want to teach high school, and eventually I think it would be amazing to be teaching college. And with that, our job is to not just teach them with a curriculum, but we also are supposed to be imparting certain professional skill set into them as well, because they can't just hear it from home. They have to see it from so many different walks of life, because they have to be able to experience the real world. So when we do all of these things, I believe as educators that we are, preparing them this is the next generation that we're given. And so we have the opportunity to help mold and shape that next generation in a sense, and give them every opportunity and encourage every opportunity. Some of my dispositions that I know that I need to work on are a little bit of, I get nervous speaking in front of large crowds, and I think it's really mainly with my peers, because obviously it's that internal monologue of, your peers are judging you. And so I don't have as much of a hard time. I've been working with the youth, and my husband was a youth pastor for years. And so during that time, I would get up and I would teach and I would speak to the kids. And, I spoke to women's groups at our retreats and stuff like that. And I spoke in front of 300 people. But I know that it's something that as I continue to do, it's going to get better. Another one that I know that I need to work on is my classroom management. But that's purely because I haven't had the opportunity to really control a classroom-like environment. I had students, but they weren't really students. They were, the youth group. And so it's a more relaxed atmosphere. And so really setting a tone for a controlled environment and an environment where you're going to learn is something that I know that I'm going to really learn from some of the teachers that I will be student teaching with. There are some amazing mentors that I'm going to get to work with, and I will really get to see how they do it and then replicate that into my life when it comes to being a teacher. When I think of a professional educator, I think of someone like my sister or another teacher. His name is Matt Roush. They are very calm, very collected, very intelligent. They dress professionally. Matt almost always wears a nice shirt and a tie almost every day, or a nice sweater vest or something. He always looks like he's ready for success. And then the same thing with my sister. They behave professionally, and they engage with the students in a manner where the students hear them. They don't speak down to them. They don't try to demean them by any means. They're very encouraging, and they encourage, not debate, but they encourage a lively conversation, as well as they are not afraid to say no. And they're not afraid to be the bad guy in a sense, which is very admirable. And I think that they have the ability, and I've heard from numerous students that their favorite teacher is Mr. Roush, or their favorite teacher is Miss Crawford, my sister. They have great control of their classroom, but the students respect them. They have an equal respect for the students, and so the students respect them. And I think that that overall is just an amazing sense of professionalism. When I think of the certain standards that would guide their thinking and their actions, I think of how do you want to learn? When I was in high school, I had very unprofessional teachers where I was sitting there going, how did you get this job? And why do you still have this job? You know, even just by the way that they were dressed and how they would interact with the students, I felt like it was borderline inappropriate. And it also comes down to a moral code that you decide that you need to uphold. And I feel like some teachers are more relaxed. And I feel like once you get into college, there's a certain level of relaxedness that you can kind of develop a rapport with your students. In high school, it's a give and take in a sense, but really I expect a moral code to be set, and a certain distance to be kept, as well as just a certain respect that needs to be had between you and your students. And, you know, don't talk down to them, encourage them, and in a sense, love them. You know, encourage them to be strong individuals, and, you know, keep pushing them in the direction of learning and make them want to learn. You know, make your classroom a learning environment where the kids are excited to be there. Not that they dread it, and, you know, they may dread it because of homework or something, but, you know, encourage learning as opposed to a Nazi, like, you must understand this behavior. When I think of the dispositions that I've experienced from other teachers, I've had some amazing teachers who have, I was telling my sister this yesterday, I had an amazing teacher, Mr. Weber, and he was almost like a father figure to me. I graduated high school early and he stepped up for me. The principal at my school was just, he was horrible. And I mean, he shook my hand and he grabbed it and said, I should have never let you graduate early, because it was kind of hard for me to graduate early, and it was hard on him. That was really all it was. It was hard on him. He had to do certain things, but I got everything approved through the district, and he basically got in trouble because he did things that were against me, and I tattled. I tattled, Mr. Weber tattled, a bunch of teachers tattled. And so when I think of the dispositions of negative teachers, I think of the principal of my high school. I think of how he first introduced himself to us, and he told us that he wasn't afraid of us, and we were freshmen in high school. And I think that that's a really poor way to kind of introduce yourself to a school and to students. You want to build a rapport with your students. You want to build a rapport in hope that you're going to have a relationship. I mean, that's your job, is to be a role model and a safe place. So characteristics and dispositions that I think that are negatively influencing the psychological being of the student are, you know, thinking that you and displaying this characteristic of being a better person than the student. You're a human being, you know, and I think that that is something that needs to go away. You know, don't display something that says I'm better than you and you're going to be nothing. Another thing is a lack of caring, a lack of the ability for a student to approach you. Your students need to approach you. I mean, they need to know that no matter what, if they're not understanding something, that you can talk to them about it, or that they can talk to you about it. Being harsh with your words. Sometimes, yes, you have to lay the ground rules, and you do have to be a little bit tougher on your students, but you also need to have a sense of love behind that. There's a reason why I'm doing these different steps. The positive reinforcements are caring, loving, have some laughter in your classroom, encourage conversations, encourage questions, you know, and never make a child feel like that they are stupid for asking a question. I had a classroom where I never wanted to ask a question because my professor made me feel so little for asking, and I felt stupid. And I never want a student to feel like that. No question is stupid, and we need to encourage that. And more often than not, I still hear stories of students going, I'm afraid to ask that because I feel like that my professor is going to think I'm stupid. And that breaks my heart. So creating a loving classroom and an open classroom and being the person that they can go to and that they can trust, having that respectful relationship with them is going to allow these students to grow in a professional manner as mature teenagers. We're in a very difficult time in their life, and that's what we need to do. We need to help them. So thank you for your time. I know it's a little long, but thank you so much.